Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday and welcome back to another SLG Meetup. I hope everybody's doing phenomenal this beautiful day. Now we're gonna be heading all the way to London to have with us our next guest. His name is our friend Grant James Bates, and he is a superstar agent, also considered the coolest agent by certain magazines. He's a very well-known guy when it comes to luxury real estate in London. He's also been named and awarded #1 UK agent by the Times. He's also top producer and he's the director at Hamptons 1869, which is also a real estate brokerage. So very excited about having him here today. There he is. What's going on, Grant?
Hey, how you doing? You okay?
I'm doing great. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay. Apart from like half of my head is cut off on this video, so I need to like move back. But yeah, I'm all right. You okay?
Yeah, we see you phenomenal. How are things in the UK?
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you know about it or how much you've read about it, but it's the hottest market we've seen on record. So it's the hottest market, to put it into perspective, since 1989, which was one of the obviously historic market peaks. So I think it's safe to say things are good. Yeah.
Look, I'm very happy for yourself. I know definitely we've seen a huge growth when it comes to the real estate demand over there in the UK, specifically in London. And now we're going to start seeing a bit more of fluctuation now with the borders opening up a bit more here in Miami. We obviously have seen that tremendously. So we want to know more about yourself, about what's going on in London that makes it so exciting for individuals to be investing in real estate there. So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
So I'm Grant Bates. I'm called Hamptons, and I primarily deal in the prime market, which is typically sort of 5 to 10 million pound sterling, the occasional one above that. Started when I was 17. I started working in Sudbury, Wembley. Wembley is the home of the England national team football stadium. If you're from the other side of the pond and you're not sure where that is, not a particularly affluent area, but that's where I started at 17. And then from there, I moved to the Square Mile, which is like, I guess, the equivalent of your Wall Street. So I worked there for about 4 or 5 years, and then moved to the company that I'm at now, selling prime, listing and selling prime real estate.
Super, very nice. Besides that, I mean, you've known how to get yourself well positioned, because personal branding in this industry is key, and you've done a really great job by creating a huge following, by also getting yourself awarded and featured in some of the top magazines as coolest agent, superstar agent, #1 agent. Like, what's going on in there?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. Obviously, personal branding in the UK probably isn't as prominent as it is in the US in terms of how it's used over there, personal branding with brokers. So it's something that's still relatively new, I think, in the UK. So I was one of the first, and probably am still one of the only brokers that use social media and use their public profile to really generate business, I guess, right? That's what we're looking to do, and to also to hold ourselves accountable and give our clients a platform that they can use as well. But yeah, it's just really spiraled, and potentially, I guess, the rarity of UK agents building a public profile has helped. Not to take anything away from the achievements, but it definitely helps that it's a bit more of a USP. And yeah, since then, like you say, Financial Times, Telegraph, the Times, Living, etc. I've got another piece coming out with Living, etc. in January. And my focus really, as well as the prime market, is on interior designed homes, architecturally designed homes, what we call turnkey properties, so properties that are ready to move into, which are doing particularly well in the current climate as well.
Super, no, phenomenal. Now, let's just back up 1 second about what you were saying, because personal branding, obviously here in the US, we've seen a tremendous importance of it, and more people are getting into that train. But in the UK, you were and still are one of the first pioneers to really get your platforms to the next level, getting featured in all these magazines. How have you seen the growth on your clientele through these channels?
Oh yeah, phenomenal. I mean, if I think about my yearly business for 2020 last year, I obviously don't have the end of year figures for this year yet. But my yearly business last year, 15% of it came from Instagram directly. And I'd say this year it's probably closer to 25%. So if you compare that to, if you compare that to like the major property portals we have over here, so like Rightmove and Zoopla, which is, I think you have Zillow. If you think like 22% of our sales come from that typically per year, then 15% to come from a platform which a lot of realtors aren't utilizing. And only one social media platform as well, because I don't have the time for YouTube and TikTok, etc. at the moment. It's phenomenal. Like everyone needs to be doing it, I think, regardless of what industry you're in, really. I think it's so powerful.
Amazing. What will be a tip or advice that you'll give for those that are trying to get themselves into this world of social media, but also more specifically about getting noticed by this big press?
The biggest tip I would give anyone, and this applies to, I think, a lot of areas of life, is say yes more and just go for it even when you're nervous or anxious or concerned. You've got to be prepared to look stupid for a period of time to get good at anything, right? Like whatever you do, like you weren't just you didn't just start your page and have 100,000 plus followers overnight. Like I'm sure if you look back at some of your content from your first few days on Instagram, you might think it's maybe not of anywhere near the same quality as what you're putting out now.
Let me ask you this, because you're obviously working on some of the prime real estate in London and exterior area of it. Now, what have you seen throughout these last few months when it comes to trends? Is there any specific type of product that have been ringing the bell?
Well, I think the biggest trend we've seen across, well, two trends really, but the biggest trend we've probably seen across the pandemic is desire for outdoor space and desire for what I think you call the hotelization of the home. That this is relevant actually to the piece that's coming out with Living, etc. and Gerberit in January. But what we're talking about really is hotelization of home. And what I mean by that is people want turnkey properties, right? They want everything at home. They want a gym. They want a cinema room. They want a principal suite. They want a luxury spa bathroom. They want a Japanese toilet. They want everything at home, so they don't need to leave their home unless they really want to. And now what's happening, a lot of the properties we're selling, or certainly the properties that are selling the best, are these turnkey properties. And alongside that, another big reason for that and for the demand for those types of properties is what the pandemic has done to supply costs in terms of building materials, in terms of architects, in terms of builders. They've rocketed by 30-40%. So that in turn has pushed up the premium for turnkey homes. And then similar to what you're seeing in the US with the fiscal policy and the monetary policy from the government, low interest rates, ability to leverage, ability to borrow, that's really bolstering the demand for those turnkey homes because people can leverage on the finance and stay liquid.
Now, you were talking about some of the demographics of high net worth individuals, but do you see a specific trend of either local or international buyers, or it's a mix?
It's a mix. I think London is always very strong for British domestics, so for people that live in London, because they understand it. And sometimes the struggle you can have sometimes with London is because there's a lot of old property, period property, Georgian, Victorian, 1700s, 1800s. Sometimes you're with your biggest buyer demographics being Middle East and Far East, which is primarily, they're primarily new countries, new cities that have been built over the last 50 years or so. There can be a lack of understanding around older properties as to why you would pay millions of pounds for an older property.
Right.
So sometimes with the classic London townhouses, there are less international buyers, but we're starting to see them come back to the fore, like you say, with the easing of travel restrictions for the new build properties, though that did naturally slow a little bit because off-plan sales haven't been as buoyant. So, but look, London, we know it's still one of the best cities, along with places like Miami and New York, to invest your money in real estate because historically it performs well in terms of capital growth. So it's a safe haven in a way.
Oh yeah, and I'll be going to London mid-December for Winterland, and I want to see. What's going on. No, but London is phenomenal. I love it. It's a great energy, and especially now things being open again, and with such huge demand for these properties, you start seeing more action, and I believe that this is going to be continuous going like that. Now, I always ask this question, and definitely I want to know your answer, because luxury comes in so many different shapes and forms, and at the end of the day, that's something personal. So what is really luxury to you?
Oh, what is luxury to me? I think, to be honest, everyone's concept or everyone's interpretation of a question like that has changed now. I don't necessarily think it's as material as it used to be. You know, part of me thinks maybe 2 years ago, I'm saying, what am I saying? I'm saying a 911, I'm saying a plain English bathroom, I'm saying, you know, Sub-Zero and Wolf appliances in the kitchen, I'm saying, you know, high-end finish. I think now it's, I don't want to be too spiritual about it, but I think it's more of a work-life balance, really. If you can even interpret luxury as that. But I definitely think the pandemic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think the pandemic's been a reminder for a lot of people of mortality, right? Like it's, you know, it's a case of, wow, like I want my life to be a certain way. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to have luxury items on top of that work-life balance, then great. But for me, I think it's more about, getting that work-life balance right. And if the 911s and the nice kitchens and bathrooms come along with it, then fantastic.
There you go. That's phenomenal. No, great answer. Now, I want to ask you something a bit more personal, because I know you're a big fan of the 5 a.m. Club. By the way, for those watching or listening to this, 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, great book. And overall, it's just a concept, you know, it's a community of people that wake up at 5 a.m. and kind of crush the day, dominate your morning, right? So tell us a little bit about how important has been this for you.
Yeah, really important for me. I've been doing it for quite a few years now, and I've read that book actually. But the when I started thinking about it was actually when I read something about Mark Wahlberg. You know, he gets up at like 2 a.m. or something insane to like train, and it's mad. I found it really useful, primarily for my mental health, really, to like get up, get stuff done early, and own the morning. And I think the reason the morning is key, because I have people criticize that and say, well, surely it's the same as working late into the evening. But I really think that the reason the morning's key for me is because that's probably when I'm at my sharpest. That's when my mind's at its best. And I also think it feels like a head start on all of your competitors, because if you can clear your inbox and you can deal with the necessary tasks, things you have to do, the obligations, then you can spend the rest of the day growing. You've done the obligations, you've done the things you've had to do, and then you can start actually growing your company, growing your client base, rather than spending hours catching up. And also, I think there's something about it, you know, there's no distractions because no one else is up. So, you know, you can really focus.
So true.
And get into it. But I get, like, look, if you've got clients all over the world, it's not always possible. If you've got a conference call you need to take at a certain time, you might, and you've been speaking to people in the Far East at midnight, you might not be getting up at 5 o'clock. So, you know, it's not for everyone, but for me, yeah, huge.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that a lot of people tuning in today agree with you. Some others might say, it's a bit tough for me, so it doesn't really need to work for everybody the same way, but definitely to keep that routine in check, and especially doing it at times where there is not so much noise, is critical for your success. So thanks for sharing that. I'm obviously in the same boat than you. I love waking up early as well and crushing that morning.
Yeah, well, you've got overall, the beach. You can just like run down the beach, right?
We don't get the cold weather, so it's kind of easier to kind of get the day going versus staying under the blankets because it's a cold day outside. So, but still, I mean, the mentality is out there, and definitely part of your success is due to your daily routine. So this is great, and thanks for sharing everything. I'm not sure if we're missing anything in particular that you would like to share.
No, not particularly. I think, you know, it's good to chat to you and to discuss everything in regards to the London market. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much. And for sure, everybody that is watching this, make sure to follow Grant. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, very fun guy. And I'm sure that very helpful for anything related to luxury real estate in London. So please give him a follow, check out what he's up to, and we'll see each other next time.
Perfect, man. Thank you. Take care.